Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and you're watching Mummy's Love with Shehnaz. In my previous videos, I spoke quite in detail about my fertility journey and my IVF success story. And from my experiences, I try to bring to you a few tips on how to make your IVF cycle a success. These are not really the foolproof tricks, but yes, they do cover a lot of quintessentials that you need to understand before you go in for an IVF cycle. These tricks mostly apply to an IVF cycle, but some of them are very generic and may apply to any other fertility techniques that you're considering shortly. So let's get started. So tip number one, find the right fertility clinic for your treatment. It's very, very important that you review the clinic that you're planning to go to. Make sure that you go to the best doctor because you are going to end up spending the same amount of money that you would spend at any other alternative IVF clinic. So make sure that you know that that particular hospital or clinic has a team of really qualified doctors, has a very good team of embryologists, plus can provide you assistance in case there is any complication during the transfer or the retrieval process. It's also important that you find a clinic which provides you all the services under one roof, like diagnostics. All the scans should be done by the fertility specialist themselves. In case you do not find most of the services under one roof, you may want to reconsider your options because going to one place and getting everything from there can be quite less stressful. Tip number two, don't wait until it's too late. Age definitely affects fertility. If you are above 30, 35, or closing to be a 40 soon, it's important that you take your quick steps towards the fertility treatment. If your doctor has already recommended you IVF and you have not been able to conceive naturally or through other treatments, do not hesitate, do not delay. Go in for IVF right away because the more delay you would make and the older you get, it's going to be harder for you to conceive, hold that pregnancy, and obviously there'll be much more complications to it later. So do not delay. Make sure that you head on to IVF right away if you are getting closer to anywhere being between 35 to 40 years of age. Number three, insist a senior doctor do the transfer. For a lot of fertility clinics, doing the embryo transfer is just a routine procedure. They might just tell you that the doctor is not available and a junior doctor will do it, but do insist that you get the best, but do insist that the senior most expert doctor do the embryo transfer. Why? It's a very simple reason. The older the doctor, the more experienced the doctor will be, they will have a better hand and they will be able to get the catheter directly to the endometrium through the uterus and the uterine cavity without causing any abrasion or touching any other part of the cavity. That really avoids infection and that has a greater chance of conception as well. It does increase your chances of implantation dramatically. So make sure that you do insist that the senior most doctor does the final transfer procedure. That's very, very important. Tip number four, consider going in for a two embryo transfer if you are older than 34 or 35 or towards your 40. Well, it has been seen that in older women, one single embryo transfer does not really work very well. The older you get, the chances of having twins also decreases, and a lot of times it's been seen that while multiple embryo transfers were made, only one of them survived eventually. So if you're older and you're considering IVF as the next treatment, tell your doctor that you would at least want to have two embryos transferred at the time. That dramatically increases your chances of being successful at the IVF cycle. Tip number five, insist that your doctor does a dummy run before they actually do a transfer procedure. That also helps your doctor understand if there are any obstructions to reach to your uterine cavity. It just avoids any complications at the last minute. It's absolutely a very, very important step. Tip number six, if you are considering an IVF, why not consider a blastocyst transfer rather than a day 2 embryo transfer? Blastocyst is a day 5 embryo, an embryo that survives or multiplies till the 5th day of the fertility. and has much greater chances of conception. As I shared with you in my story, we eventually had 8 embryos that were, that were fertile. I'm sorry, there were 8 follicles that made up to 8 embryos, but eventually, through the blastocyst process, only 2 of them survived. So it's important that you let your embryos sit till day 5 and grow and multiply, and then you eventually have them transferred. It does also mean that you will pay more money, but that does mean that you're going to save on any chances of not having that embryo grow up to day 5. So if you have an embryo that grows up to day 5, your chances of conceiving or of that embryo implanting are much much better, and that also gives your embryologist a chance to study your embryos and see if there are any other abnormalities or defects that could possibly be the reason why you were not able to conceive. Tip number 7, don't head off to the bed right after the transfer. Well, before I had my endometrium transfer, I did read lot about whether you should take a lot of rest after you have a transfer and all, but I realized that was not true. It did happen the moment I had the endometrium transfer. I got up from the bed and I just stood up for a minute, and eventually I was asked to rest for about 3 hours. After which we just, I came back home and relaxed and just reconvened with whatever regular activities we're doing. So you don't really need to rest the entire day. Just make sure that you do light work, feel relaxed, feel happy, be positive, and just continue with your routine activities. Maybe you want to do something altogether different, like go on for a date with your husband, or just go out for dinner or enjoy time with your family. Tip number 8. Undergoing an IVF cycle can be very stressful, and for a lot of women, it can cause anxiety and depression. So, if you are suffering from anxiety or depression, talk to your specialist. You may also require some counseling at time, and there's nothing wrong about that at all. Most good fertility clinics do have, psychologists or counselors that talk to you and ease out any stress that you're carrying in your mind. So make sure that if you're feeling uneasy or really, really anxious, talk to your family, friends, people around you, or talk to a counselor, and that is really going to help you to feel positive. Tip number 9, take folic acid supplements regularly, at least 2 to 3 months prior to any fertility treatment that you plan to undergo. Folic acid is known to dramatically boost a woman's potential to conceive and to hold that particular embryo. Also, to get yourself tested for vitamin D. Vitamin D levels are dramatically increasing, dramatically decreasing in colder countries. But I live in a country like India, which is extremely hot, but even then I was detected with low vitamin D levels. Low vitamin D levels also cause PCOS in your body. So make sure that these two particular nutrients are, supplied with, before you go in for any fertility treatment, be it IVF or be it any other fertility treatment, or in case you're trying for a conception, Folic acid also helps your baby to be healthy, and you will be taking folic acid, for good 3 to 4 months after you conceive as well. Tip number 10, exercise. A lot of infertility problems are basically nothing but lifestyle disorders. You know that we have everything, like we have everything, to kind of help us. We have a car that helps us go from one place to the other, so we barely walk. And on the contrary, if you look at women who are into very laborious works like the cooks and the cleaning and the maid kind of a job, they would never have any problem conceiving. So a large reason for that is because of our lifestyle and obesity disorders, we have trouble conceiving. So if you are planning to go in for fertility treatment, or even if you're planning to conceive, make sure that you start working out at least 1.5 months in advance. Lose that extra flab and get onto a gluten-free diet at least for the evening, so that helps you lose fat faster, and that also helps you kind of makes your uterus more healthier, and kind of abstains it from PCOD or PCOS. So I remember that when we went in for fertility treatment, I kind of started gymming, and I gymmed for about 1.5 months, and I lost about 3 kgs. But more than that, I'd lost a lot of inches, and I was glowing. There was better blood circulation, and I could feel that whenever I would do any kind of activities that involve the pelvic area, like a cross trainer, I could feel that area opening up, and I could really feel the difference in my energy levels when I was working out. So it's important that you do work out before you go in for any fertility treatment, because that is an additional support that you give to your body, apart from the medication that you're already having. So a healthier body will obviously have a healthier mind, and obviously that promotes a greater chance of you becoming successful at your IVF cycle. Tip number 11, and the final tip: relax and be positive. Undergoing an IVF cycle is can be very, very stressful, but when you know that you're going in for one, make sure that you do everything to be positive, maintain your self-esteem, be happy, meet a lot of friends, dine out, do whatever makes you feel happy, because eventually the happier you are, the greater your chances of being a mother. It does improve. Stress takes away a lot of good hormones in the body. So make sure that whenever you're undergoing the IVF cycle, you kind of do everything that changes your state of mind. For a lot of women, shopping makes them happy, so do that. I mean, do whatever makes you happy. Just be happy. So relax and be happy, and definitely, if you're being positive, something good is coming your way, right? So guys, these were a few tips that I could recall from my experiences, from IVF cycle experiences, and there probably may be more good tips and advices that you can get from people, but I think these are really, really essential things that you need to work on. So if you take care of these few things, then I'm sure that 80% of your battle is won. And I would still leave 20% to God and to your luck. But it's important that you kind of given your best effort. I hope these tips help you, and let me know if you have any other tips or anything else that you would like to share with the viewers. I would be very happy to listen from you. I would also be very happy to get your advice or comments. Please type them in the comments box below. And I'm going to come back shortly with a few more videos on what is mommy loving nowadays, and also on my twin pregnancy. So guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I will see you soon in my next video. Till then, you take care. Have a good time. Bye-bye. Love you all.